Hi, myself A. Navin, rule number 49, and my topic is about access control. Introduction. Access control is a security technique that regulates who or what can view or use resources in computing environment. It is a fundamental concept in security that minimizes risk to the business or organization. There are two types of access control. One is physical and another is logical. Physical access control limits access to campuses, buildings, rooms, and physical IT access. Logical access control limits connections to computer networks, system, files, and data. To secure a facility, organizations use electronic access control systems that rely on users' credentials, access cards, readers, editing, and reports to track employee access to restricted business locations and proprietary areas such as data centers. Some of these systems incorporate access control panels to restrict entry to rooms and buildings, as well as alarms and lockdowns capabilities to prevent unauthorized access or operations. Access control systems performs identification, authentication, and authorization of users and entities by evaluating required logging credentials that can include passwords, personal identification numbers, pins, biometric scans, security tokens, or other authentication factors. Multi-factor authentication (MFA), which requires two or more authentication factors, is often an important part of a layered defense to protect access control systems. Why is access control important? The goal of access control is to minimize the security risk for unauthorized access to physical and logical systems. Access control is a fundamental component of security compliance programs that ensures security technology and access control policies are in place to protect confidential information such as customer data. Most organizations have infrastructure and procedures that limit access to networks, computer systems, applications, files, and sensitive data such as personally identifiable information PII and intellectual property. Access control systems are complex and can be challenging to manage in dynamic IT environments that involve on premises systems and cloud services. After some high profile breaches, technology vendors have shifted away from single sign on SSO systems to unified access management, which offers access controls for on premises and cloud environments. How access control works. These security controls work by identifying an individual or entity, verifying that the person or an application is who or what it claims to be, and authorizing the access level and set of actions associated with the username or internet protocol IP address. Directory services and protocols, including Lightweight Directory Access Protocol (LDAP) and Security Assertion Markup Language (SAML), provide access control for authenticating and authorizing users and entities and enabling them to connect to computer resources such as distributed applications and web servers. Types of access controls. The main models of access controls are the following. Mandatory access control MAC. This is a security model in which access rights are regulated by a central authority based on multiple levels of security. Often used in government and military environments, classifications are assigned to system resources and the operating system OS or security kernel. It grants or denies access to those resources objects based on the information security clearance of the user or device. For example, Security Enhanced Linux SEL Linux is an implementation of Mac on the Linux OS, Linux operating system. Discretionary access control DAC. This is an access control method in which owners or administrators of the protected system data or resource set the policies defining who or what is authorized to access the resource. Many of these systems enable administrator to limit the propagation of access rights. A common criticism of discretionary access control DAC system is a lack of centralized control. Role based access control RBAC. This is a widely used access control mechanism that restricts access to a computer resource based on individuals or groups with defined business functions. Example: executive level, engineering level 1, etc., rather than the identities of individual users. The role based security model relies on a complex structure of role assignments, role authorizations, and role permissions developed using role engineering to regulate employee access to systems. RBAC systems can be used to enforce MAC and DAC frameworks. Role based access control. This is a security model in which the system administrator defines the rules that govern access to resource objects. Often, these rules are based on conditions such as time of day or location. It is not uncommon to use some form of both rule based access control and RBAC to enforce access policies and procedures. Attribute based access control ABAC. This is a methodology that manages access rights by evaluating a set of rules, policies, and relationships using the attributes of users, system, and environmental conditions. Implementing access control. Access control is a process that is integrated into an organization's IT environment. It can involve identity management and access management systems. These systems provide access control software, a user database, and a management tools for access control policies, auditing, and enforcement. When a user is added to an access management system, administrators use an automated provisioning system to set up permissions based on access control frameworks, job responsibilities, and workflows. Challenges of access control. Many of the challenges of access control stem from the highly distributed nature of modern IT. It is difficult to keep track of constantly evolving assets as they are spread out both physically and logically. Some specific examples including the following: dynamically managing distributed IT environments, password fatigue, complaints visibility through consistent reporting, centralizing user directories and avoiding application specific silos, and data governance and visibility through consistent reporting. Modern access control strategies need to be dynamic. Traditional access control strategies are more static because most of companies' computing assets were held on premises. Modern IT environments consist of many cloud-based and hybrid implementations which spread assets out over physical locations and over a variety of unique devices. A singular security fence that protects on premises assets is becoming less useful because assets are becoming more distributed. To ensure data security, organization must verify individuals' identities because the assets they use are more transient and distributed. The asset itself says less about the individual user than it is used to. Organizations often struggle with authorization over authentication. Authentication is a process of verifying an individual is who they say they are through the use of biometric identification and MFA. The distributed nature of assets gives organizations many avenues for authenticating an individual. The process that companies struggle with more is authorization, which is the act of giving individuals the correct data access based on their authenticated identity. One example of where this might fall short is if an individual leaves a job but still has access to that company's assets. Access control software. There are many types of access control software and technology, and often multiple components are used together to maintain access control. The software tools may be on premises, in the cloud, or a hybrid of both. They may focus primarily on a company's internal access management or may focus outwardly on access management for customers. Some of the types of access management software tools including the following: reporting and monitoring applications, password management tools, provisioning tools, identifying identity repositories, security policy enforcement tools. Microsoft Active Directory AD is one example of software that includes most of the tools listed above in a single offering. Other vendors with popular products with for identity and access management IAM include IBM, Adaptive, and Okta. This is all about my topic. Thank you.